Get ready to uncover truths and reality of today's politics. Here's your host, Lori Mills.
Welcome to another edition of Uncover California. Okay, guys, President Trump, you know that I love you. You know I have had your back since you came down those escalators, but we already know more than what's being released on the Epstein files. Did he kill himself? You say no. I'll have to believe you guys on that one because I can't prove otherwise, but I've got a problem with not pursuing things that we already know. For instance, Lex Wexner, Victoria's Secret. There were email communications years ago that he was soliciting women and younger girls to be models for Victoria's Secret and was very connected to Jeffrey Epstein financially. What's the story there? If there is no client list, then why is Ghislaine Maxwell in prison? Doesn't that kind of get rid of all the trafficking? She procured guys for Jeffrey and you don't think anybody else? What about Bill Clinton being on the plane 19 times? What about the victims stating that all of their activities were videotaped? Who's in those videos? I'm not ready to let this go. I think that the public deserves a huge explanation. We also have the death of Virginia Giuffre not too long ago. And she had always said, if anybody says that I killed myself, I didn't. There's so many questions up in the air. Did Jeffrey Epstein work for the CIA? Did the United States government have a honeypot trap in place? The public deserves to know. These things have been going on in our country for decades, starting, I believe, with Playboy. There were also other circumstances with modeling agencies in LA. Don't let us believe that you're going to let the rich and powerful off. The public deserves answers. Dan Bongino, did you walk away from your empire to not thoroughly pursue this? What about you, Cash? You know what they did to the president before. You know it could happen again. All this did was open up more speculation. So I'm going to ask you guys to dig deep and give us the answers that we deserve. That Brunel guy, did anything ever happen to him? Are there just too many world leaders involved in this that we can't pursue the truth? I'm not buying that there's no information. If it was destroyed, well, then let's go after the people that destroyed the evidence. But to say this is over, for many of us, it never will be. We have been waiting on this information for 7 or 8 years now. So not buying there's nothing there. Sorry, I can't. I've seen more than what you've released. And the victims of these predators deserve justice, even if they're dead.
I've had the story for 3 years. I've had this interview with Virginia Roberts. We would not put it on the air. First of all, I was told, who's Jeffrey Epstein? No one knows who that is. This is a stupid story. Then the palace found out that we had her whole allegations about Prince Andrew and threatened us a million different ways. We were so afraid we wouldn't be able to interview Kate and Will that also quashed the story. And then Alan Dershowitz was also implicated in it because of the planes. She told me everything. She had pictures. She had everything. She was in hiding for 12 years. We convinced her to come out. We convinced her to talk to us. It was unbelievable what we had. Clinton, we had everything. I tried for 3 years to get it on, to no avail, and now it's all coming out, and it's like these new revelations, and I freaking had all of it. I'm so pissed right now. Like, every day I get more and more pissed because I'm just like, oh my God, what we had was unreal. Other women backing it up. Hey, yep. Brad Edwards, the attorney, 3 years ago, saying there will come a day when we will realize Jeffrey Epstein was the most prolific pedophile this country has ever known. I had it all 3 years ago.
That's all I have to say on that. On today's show, we have someone who is running for the Los Angeles County Sheriff. Oscar Martinez will be joining us right after this break. Stay tuned. Hey, everybody. I don't know if you've been supporting the show by going to themagamall.com, but I just got my new Doge hat. I love this hat. He's got so many new designs. He has Maha. He's got ice hats. Remember to go to themagamall.com. And if you use promo code Kelly, CALI, you'll get a really good discount. Check out the Doge hat. Everybody needs one. Welcome back, everybody, to Uncover California. I'm super excited to have our guest on right now, Oscar Martinez, a first-time candidate running for the Los Angeles County Sheriff. Oscar, welcome to Uncover California.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for having me here. It's an honor.
Yeah, well, tell everybody a little bit about yourself. What is your history?
Absolutely. I was born in the Dominican Republic. Came here as a child with my family, like millions of others, for a better life. I actually was going to be a priest, but that didn't work out, obviously. So I joined the closest thing to the priesthood, which is United States Marine Corps.
Oh, Semper Fi. My son's a Marine.
Semper Fi, hurrah. I went in 2000 thinking, I'm going to go see the world, have a blast, but then 9/11 happened. And I did have a blast, but it was not the kind of blast that I was expecting. But nonetheless, I had the honor of serving my country in both Iraq and Afghanistan as an infantryman.
Thank you.
And it was a great experience. I grew up a lot there. I learned a lot about leadership, and those concepts of leadership have brought me where I am today, where I've been with the Sheriff's Department for 15 years, joined immediately after I left the United States Marine Corps, and now I'm currently running to be the next Sheriff of LA County.
So LA's got a lot of issues. You've got a huge territory.
Yes.
And as someone that has worked in the department for 15 years, what are the largest problems that you see?
Well, actually, my top three priorities. Number one, deputy morale. Our deputy, the morale is down. And how does that affect the community? When law enforcement officers do not feel supported, they're not going to go out there and go the extra mile. They'll respond to the calls. They'll answer your calls for service, but they're not going to give us the proactivity that we need to keep our community safe. Number two, technology. Although the LA County Sheriff's Department is the largest sheriff's department in the nation, it's probably the least technologically advanced department in the nation. We just have not spent any money on our infrastructure and our technology. The last great technology that we had for patrol, for example, are the BWC, body-worn cameras. And that wasn't given to us by this administration. It was actually given to us by the former sheriff, Alex Villanueva. And then the second thing is fiscal responsibility. LA County does not have a fiscal issue. And when I say LA County, the Sheriff's Department, it doesn't have a fiscal issue. It has a fiscal mismanagement issue. We probably have one of the largest budgets for policing in the nation. And yet, like I said before, our infrastructure is pretty much dead. Salary, it's miserable what we pay our deputies compared to agencies close by LA County and within LA County. And also to our contract cities. They pay a lot of money for a service they're not getting. And I believe that we need to go in there and then pick our priorities when it comes to the budget so that we can provide a better service to our communities.
So how do you feel about right now the state legislature, for instance, the mayor of Los Angeles? These people were all on the defund the police boat. And even now, they're literally putting law enforcement lives at risk by rhetoric, calling them Nazis or calling them terrorists. It's very dangerous, especially when we see what just happened in Texas. If your elected officials can say such a thing, those that are on the ground, the activists, they get activated to do wrong.
I like that, they get activated.
Yes, well, it's true. If somebody tells you Hitler is here, you ask yourself, what have I done in the 30s? And these kids really don't know better. I mean, right now we've got 10 people facing life in prison for attempted murder on law enforcement.
A Border Patrol agent.
What is your take on the state assembly and the state senate? And what would you like to say to them directly to bring down the heat and to support law enforcement?
This is probably the area where I think current Sheriff Robert Luna has failed the most. The Sheriff of LA County has a giant microphone. When he has a press conference, people listen. And he needs to be speaking about some of these issues you brought up. The Nazi thing is getting old.
Yeah.
I mean, the moment
Everybody's a Nazi.
At the moment someone disagrees with you, they're Nazis. And it's like, listen, if you know your history, you realize nothing of what's happening right now, it's even close to what the Nazis did, not only to the Jews, but pretty much to anybody that disagreed with them, including
Right.
Catholics and many Christians. As a sheriff, I definitely going to be an outspoken for law enforcement. I'm not going to sit idle. I'm not going to sit by where politicians are calling my fellow officers Nazis, murderers, whatever have you. And to be calling for the defund the police, then you have no business being in government. The primary duty of government is to protect the people.
Right.
It's not welfare. It's not even to build affordable housing or whatever mantra they have for the day. It is to protect the people. You have to fund law enforcement. For example, yesterday Karen Bass went to MacArthur Park when ICE showed up. And I'm asking myself, you have not been to MacArthur Park at all as mayor. And she said this was a park where families spend time, children play. Lady, have you not been to MacArthur Park in the last 10 years? It's a drug haven.
Right.
Prostitution, human trafficking, criminal illegal aliens left to right, massive amount of drugs. So if anything, I think most people will welcome any law enforcement. It should be the local law enforcement. I prefer for it to be local law enforcement. But in that absence, the feds, they took care of it. And at the end of the day, we need that law enforcement there. So my advice to this politician is you need to stop with the rhetoric and you need to actually do what you swore to do. Because you put your hand on the Constitution, on the Bible if you did, but you swore an oath to the Constitution to defend and protect the Constitution. And your main duties now is to ensure that the laws are being enforced.
Now, SB 54 is something that the state legislature had passed and Newsom signed into law, which really limits local law enforcement activity with anything immigration. During Joe Biden's administration, 20 million people came into our country. I had interviewed Oscar Blue Ramirez, who has been in the Darien Gap 4 times. I have interviewed J.J. Carroll, who used to be the chief border patrol sector in San Diego during Biden's administration. And Oscar had warned us, Tren de Aragua is coming to your nation. And he, being someone that actually walked with these people through the Darien Gap, that helped people cross rivers, save children. The man has PTSD now from the evil that he saw.
The rapes and the human trafficking that's taking place there.
To top that off, we've got 350,000 missing migrant children in our community. And those that discovered that have been completely blackballed, haven't even been debriefed.
Correct.
Coming in as sheriff under this legislation, how do you see your position? Are you going to just completely abide by SB 54, which is state law, or does your oath to the Constitution and federal law, when it comes to finding missing children, how are you going to handle that?
Well, that's the beauty of it. First of all, as far as SB 54, when it was passed and it came into law January 1st, 2018,
right,
there were very few law enforcement officers that were calling for the legislature not to pass the law. Believe it or not, one of those officers was Sheriff Jim McDonald, who was the sheriff at the time. And he said, listen, you have to give me the ability to work with ICE inside the jails.
Right.
Because if I don't have the ability, as a sheriff, if I don't have the ability to work with them inside the jails, they're going to go out into the community.
Which is what's happening now.
Well, at the time, they didn't believe him. At the time, because let's be honest, before the recent month, the federal government was not being that active in federal immigration law. So at the time, they wrote him off. That's never going to happen. Well, it is happening now. I've been calling from the beginning of my campaign, SB 54 needs to be amended.
Yes.
We need to work with ICE inside our jails to remove some very dangerous criminal aliens. Again, if we don't do that, then we have absolutely no reason to be telling the federal government not to enforce immigration law. You can't have it both ways.
Right.
This politician, especially Gavin Newsom, Karen Bass, cannot say that immigration is the job of the federal government, but then cry wolf when the federal government is enforcing immigration laws. You're not working with them. They have no choice. You're not giving them the protection they deserve. That's why they have to wear masks. As a sheriff, I'm going to advocate on a daily basis to amend SB 54. Now, when it comes to human trafficking, that's a crime. So we're not talking about immigration. I will work with the federal government to the best of my abilities and my resources to ensure that those children are found. When ICE went to a school in downtown LA not too long ago, the media pretty much decried them as taking children, breaking families apart, removing children from school. What they were doing in that school, they were looking for children, just like the ones you mentioned, that were trafficked. And they had no idea where these children were at. They find out that 2 of these children were at the school, and they wanted to know their status. That's what they were doing. They were protecting children from human trafficking. But again, that's not what the media is telling us.
Now, another problem with that, I've interviewed Aaron Stevenson, who was the DHS whistleblower, that he actually found the children were missing with Tara Rodas at the Pomona Fairplex, because what was happening, they would be giving these kids to sponsors, and the sponsors wouldn't be family necessarily. Biden had stopped the DNA testing. What Aaron and Tara had found was some of these kids, up to 60 kids, were going to one sponsor. Of course, Joe Biden fired them. Tara's been reinstated. Aaron Stevenson has not, and I'm calling for President Trump to put him back in place. And what they have said, HHS is holding the sponsor data. They won't release it. But if we were to get the sponsor data, we would know who's gone where, and we could follow up with wellness calls on these children.
Correct.
What are your thoughts on that? Is there anything you could do as sheriff to possibly push that along to make sure HHS releases this list, because they don't have any investigation of authority at
Correct.
HHS?
Well, and again, that's the sad part, one of the sad elements of SB 54.
Right.
We're not allowed to talk to the federal government when it comes to this kind of stuff. We're not allowed to share intelligence. At the end of the day, no one knows your area better than your local officials.
Right.
I know a lot of people think the federal government's almighty, they can come in and they know everything. At the end of the day, they don't. They need to depend on the local law enforcement. And it is very sad for our communities that we are not allowed to work with them in this kind of areas. Imagine if we were able to share intelligence with them in our jails, in our courts, in patrol, because the sheriff's department has an element in all these areas of law enforcement. So again, as a sheriff, I will be calling on a daily basis, hey, you have to let me work. And again, if I can find a way to ensure this is human trafficking, not just immigration, then SB 54 does not apply.
Right.
I'm able to work with the feds. But it's going to take some time because the relationship has been strained for so long now that I don't think the federal government really trusts our local officials, especially in LA County.
Well, and then we saw what happened to Alex Villanueva.
Yes.
He went after the corruption within the Board of Supervisors, and they targeted him.
Correct.
And now he's not sheriff, and this Luna is. What are your thoughts about what happened to Alex? And what are you going to be doing to kind of shield yourself from the onslaught of attacks that you will be facing?
Oh, that I'm facing already, actually, I should say.
Okay, well, tell us what's going on.
Well, if you look at the board supervisors, the LA County board supervisors, they have 9 priorities. It's on their website. I'm not making this up. They have 9 priorities on their website. It goes from something about racism to the environment and of course, the homeless industrial complex. There's nothing about public safety. The board supervisors not interested in public safety. I'm not criticizing them. That's their right. If they don't care about public safety, that's fine. As sheriff, that's my job.
Right.
I'm going to go every year at the beginning from December to April. I'm going to talk to them. These are my priority. These are my budget. They have to give me a budget. It's in the charter. It's in the state constitution. They have to provide me with that budget. Once I receive that budget, we're done. I'll see you next year. Me personally, I don't see the point of having a press conference every other week criticizing them because they just don't care.
Right.
Public safety is not the priority. Therefore, I'm going to make sure I do everything within my resources to ensure that we have public safety in the county, even if that means talking with the federal government and receiving as many grants as possible. Another area where the sheriff is able to get some of the resources are contract cities. The LA County Sheriff's Department contracts with about 42 cities in the county. They have resources that they can provide for us to help their cities. So that's another area that we need to strengthen, because right now, for example, Robert Luna, he's taking a lot of those resources that those cities are paying for whatever pet project the county has. Well, no, if the county's not paying for them, the county's not getting them. I am going to give the deputies and the resources to the communities that are paying for those resources.
I grew up in Santa Monica. Used to be a beautiful beach city. It was a tourist attraction, and now it's a drug den.
Yes, it is.
We've had our local officials and the state officials, instead of getting them mental health, have promised them housing and crack pipes and injection sites.
Yes.
It's an epic failure to the point that kids can't play in the parks there anymore. And how do you as sheriff get around this? I truly believe, and it's my opinion, that a lot of these unelected bureaucrats are making so much money.
Oh, yes.
There's no reason to fix the issue. What are your thoughts on that?
It's the homeless industrial complex.
Yes.
They don't want the problem to go away. They just don't. It's like you said, they're making so much money. In LA County, especially the city of LA, but the entire county as a whole, the federal government is finally stepping in because there's $22 billion that are missing.
Yes.
That supposedly went to the homeless industrial complex. How do you lose $22 billion? How can you sit there as a bureaucrat and say, I don't know what happened. I don't know where this $22 billion went.
While they're making their six-figure salary.
Correct. So, again, I'm glad that the federal government is finally stepping in and probably is going to shed some light into where this money going. Now, I understand the board supervisor right now, they're moving around some stuff. They're trying to centralize the whole process. I believe there's a rift right now between the city and the county. Has nothing to do with the sheriff's department in regards to the homeless industrial complex. And I believe the reason for that is they can see the future, and they know there's going to be some indictments coming down the line. So now the blame game starts. That's one thing you have to give credit to Sheriff Alex Villanueva. He went in, for example, Venice, and he cleaned house. He showed you that it can be done.
Yes.
It can be done, but you need to have someone that has the will to do it. The resources are there, but you got to have someone that has the will to do it. Now, if I may say, homelessness is not a law enforcement issue. It is a political issue. Law enforcement has a role to play there, but I just want people to know that you can't expect law enforcement to fix the problem. Because I can send my deputies out there and arrest every homeless person. They're going to be back out the next day. Mm-hmm. That's just the way the criminal justice system works. So I'm going to work with my contract cities, and if they have a plan for the homeless situation, for the homeless problem, a plan that's going to work, we're going to work with them to ensure that we can carry out that plan and clean our streets from the homeless people. It is very sad that a child cannot go to a local park and play there. It is very sad that a person in a wheelchair cannot go down the sidewalk because there are tents and whatever have you. So again, law enforcement has a role to play when it comes to the homeless issue, but it's not the final solution. It is a political issue.
At the same time, a lot of your hands being tied is due to the policy that's been enacted by the supermajority.
Correct.
Someone goes outside and takes a dump on the street. It's now legal in California. You can't prosecute from that, and I would think it would be a biohazard waste.
It sure is.
We've watched them the same thing with water. They funnel the water into the ocean and say it's a drought. Because of CEQA, we're not doing fire management. We're not doing controlled burns. There are just so many problems that are going on. We have activist groups in our community, some of them nationwide,
yes,
such as the George Soros-funded Indivisible, which is huge in this county, and pushing the transgender surgeries for kids, making Ventura just became a sanctuary city to make sure they don't work with ICE in violation of 8 U.S. Code 1324, I believe.
If I may address that, as far as cities proclaiming themselves sanctuary cities, it's just virtue signaling. It means nothing because, again, SB 54 is statewide. Mm-hmm. So to be honest with you, when cities like Ventura, LA, and I believe San Fernando was another one that just voted to become a sanctuary city, you're putting a target on your city. Because
right, you'll lose federal funding.
Well, not only that, Tom Holman already said it. If you're a sanctuary city, we're going to come after. So again, when these cities come out and say, we're going to be a sanctuary city, you're not doing anything. I want the public to know that. It means absolutely nothing. Number one, it does not prohibit the federal government from coming in and doing raids. And number two, there is nothing local officials can do to stop federal law enforcement. So again, they're only putting a target on themselves. They're not doing absolutely nothing for public safety.
For virtue signaling,
That's all it
basically.
is. It means absolutely nothing because SB 54, like we talked about earlier, is statewide.
Right.
It's statewide. So it doesn't matter if you see it as sanctuary or not. At the end of the day, the police nor the sheriff can work with ICE, either inside the jail or outside the jails.
Okay, so another thing that they made sanctuary was the transitioning of children. Now, I know that the Supreme Court just ruled you can't be doing sex changes on kids anymore. You as sheriff, are you allowed to pursue clinics and physicians that are performing these abuses, in my opinion?
Not really. To be honest with you, that will fall more on the district attorney.
Okay.
As a sheriff, I won't be able. I mean, can I get involved? You can say yes at the end of the day, but it's not something that traditionally sheriffs would do when it comes to the medical malpractice, or if we're going to go crime wise. There's health task forces, but that's usually the district attorney. We may help them in an investigation and so forth, but as far as a sheriff patrol going in there or sheriff's detectives, that's not very common. At least not in LA County. I'm not sure about Ventura County.
Okay. Now, we also saw a huge change in Los Angeles recently. Gascon is gone.
Yes.
Praise the Lord.
Yes.
Nathan Hochman is now in place, and Bill Asaley has become U.S. Attorney.
Correct.
Are you seeing big changes with that, or would you still like to see things done a little bit better?
Oh, we can do much better. We got to get rid of Robert Luna.
Okay.
Remember, Robert Luna called George Gascon his friend and his mentor, and he did that in public.
Right.
He was a lifelong friend of George Gascon. Robert Luna did not support the recall of George Gascon. He did not even support D.A. Hochman during the election. In addition with that, Proposition 36, which was passed last year with the same election as the district attorney, D.A.
Not
Hochman.
one penny from the state government has gone towards Prop 36.
Correct. I think they put in the budget $100 million, but it takes about $136 million for
Right.
it to be enforced. But it's a great law that took away some of the stuff from Prop 47 from 2013 and brought back some felonies when it came to drugs and especially the prosecution of smash and grabs.
And the repeat crimes.
The repeat
And
offenders.
for those of you that don't realize what we're talking about is how people could steal up to $900 at a shop and go back 5 times during the day and nothing would happen to them.
They'll get a ticket. Or
Yeah.
They used to get a ticket, I should
Yes.
say. But it's a great law that you would think every law enforcement official would support. Robert Luna did not support Prop 36.
Why is that?
Again, ask yourself that question. Is he on the side of law enforcement or is he on the side of whoever or whatever? George Gascon did not support it, obviously, and maybe that's why he didn't support it, because George Gascon was his mentor.
And he was also funded by George Soros.
That's the rumor. That is true. That is a rumor. I know Gascon was for sure. I mean, that's public knowledge.
Jen Van Laar, investigative journalist, she's the one that exposed the corruption with Ronna McDaniel. She's the one that got Katie Hill unseated.
Katie Hill.
And I follow everything that girl does. She also exposed Barbara Ferrer and the health care.
Yes.
So I trust Jen a lot, but she had said that he was definitely funded by George Soros.
I can see that. Again, Bill Asaley, great. I'm glad we have him there. I just wish we can work with the feds a little
Yes.
more. D.A. Hochman, it's great to have him there. But remember, the DA, before they prosecute, we got to have some proactive policing first.
Right. You have to get the evidence.
We need to get the evidence. We need to bring the prosecution to take place. Right now, again, especially in the sheriff's department, our deputies are now being too proactive. It's not because they don't want to, they want to, but they're scared.
Right.
They're scared that if they do their job within the policy, within the law, Robert Luna is going to sacrifice them for the sake of political correctness. He did it to our deputy, Trevor Kirk, in Lancaster.
Tell us about that.
Deputy Trevor Kirk responded to what we call a 211, a robbery. He goes there, the victim comes out, which is the security guard of the store, says, hey, that's her, she spit on my face, and she stole some items. So they go to contact her, small fight occurred, he sprays her, she gets on the ground, handcuff her, done. Our own training bureau said that's within policy. That's
Yeah.
what we train our officers to do. Multiple experts online say there's nothing wrong here. But for some reason, Robert Luna decided to have a press conference. And he says, I have some serious issues with this video. And next thing you know, this deputy is facing federal charges.
It's ridiculous.
He was indicted, he was convicted, and next month he has to turn himself in for 4 months of federal prison. Again, because of Bill Asaley, they brought it down from a felony to a misdemeanor. Thank God that he came in at the direction of Donald Trump. Now, Robert Luna says that he never gave that case to the federal government. We'll stipulate to that. Okay, you never gave it to the federal government. But why would you as the sheriff have a press conference about a force that in our department would not go higher than a captain?
What would also taint any jury pool, I would assume.
Done. Like I said before, the sheriff of LA County probably has the biggest microphone when it comes to law enforcement in California. And for you to call a press conference for something as simple as that, And it happened a few days after you met with a group called Cancel the Contract, which is ultra uber left
Well,
in
and again,
Lancaster.
all these people are connected to Indivisible, all these
Yes.
Arabella LLC. These people are nationwide, and they are activists that do nothing but attack the opposition.
Well, if you ask me, that's like our constitution, our way of life.
Yes.
Because if I'm sheriff and a group called Cancel the Contract, and by that they mean cancel the contract between the cities and the sheriff's department, and they ask me to meet with them, the answer is no. Why would I meet with you? You want to destroy the very fabric of our public safety system. I'm not going to meet with you.
Right.
There can never be an agreement between you and I. You want to get rid of policing. I want to protect our communities.
Right.
Why would you meet with them behind closed doors? So it's kind of, I find it surprising. So to answer your question, yeah, that's true. To answer your question, yeah, it's great that we have a new DA, Hockman, and Bill Aseli as the new U.S. Attorney. Now, in order to ensure we have proper public safety countywide, we need to get rid of Robert Luna and elect someone that follows the Constitution.
Do you feel that Los Angeles County, with how vast and large it is, I believe, don't you have 3 million constituents or something? I mean, it's huge.
Oh, no, it's more than that. It's 10 million.
10 million.
And we have
Okay,
about
so I'm way off.
5.5 million registered voters.
Okay, so do you feel that there's enough officers to take care of that entire community, since it's been reported sometimes wait times can be up to 8 minutes?
No. Now when you compare with the national average, like, for example, NYPD, now there's different formulas when it comes to how many police officers you should have per the community. It's kind of hard to do in LA County because, for example, I can't take the 10 million residents of LA County in order to recommend a budget for my department, the sheriff's department, because out of the 88 cities, we only have about 42. So every city is different. Every city will have to come up with its own formula, how many deputies they need, and that will be the formula that I will use. Now, that being said, we don't have, even if they do come up with a formula right now, we don't have enough recruits because, like you said at the beginning of this show, the politicians have caused so much scandal when it comes to public safety. A lot of young men and women don't want to be police officers anymore. They're scared of being police officers. I mean, police officers are being vilified by the very same people who's supposed to provide a budget for the police departments. So that's a mountain that I will have to climb as sheriff.
Isn't it a crime, though, and I've never understood this, when we have people in Congress and we have people in state government that literally call for violence against law enforcement, isn't that illegal? Like, why do they get away with that?
Well, it's definitely illegal, both federal and state, but they know how to play with words. So you never hear them saying, let's go out there and kill, ex-police officer or such deputy or special agent. When they do that, we do catch up to them and we do prosecute. But they call it, they say defunding, they said, peaceful demonstration.
And then they go with their freaking riot gear.
But somehow there's rocks laying around, there's pallets
Again,
of rocks and stuff.
Soros-funded stuff. All of a sudden, there's a big pallet from Home Depot
100%.
with cinder blocks.
And I'm sure you saw in the riots last month where a guy shows up in an SUV with brand new mask. Like, number one, where did you get him? Number two, how did you know this was taking place ahead of time? Where'd all these signs come from? Nice printed. Where'd all these flags come from?
Or even with the protest on the college campuses, they all have the same tents. Mm-hmm. And I've researched this before, going back to what's called Arabella Advisors LLC. Don't know if you know of them. Started by a man named Hans-Georg Wyss, who was from Switzerland. And what they do is they've poured foreign money into Arabella, who doesn't have to disclose their donors, that go into Democrat funds, the Hopewell Fund, the 1630 Fund. And then it trickles down to websites that pop up and go away. And it was discovered during the Kavanaugh hearing. All of a sudden, you started seeing Defend Democracy and all the same signs. And there was a guy, Hayden Ludwig, that dug into it and put it all together. And it is a dark, dark, dark web. But they have
It's a rabbit hole that just keeps going.
It is, but it's all confirmed. Arabella Advisors, I look at these organizations like this, and I have to think it's almost treasonous what they're doing to our country, because they're knowingly lying to the public, which incites violence and causes division. Why do you think that there's so much of these actions that, and again, it's an opinion, that would basically really sow such division in our country, where it literally could destroy this place.
Well, in my opinion,
Yeah.
if you look at the
and it's opinion because
Correct.
this, yeah.
In my opinion, if you look at the election of Barack Obama, I always tell people, always go back to the election of Barack Obama. When Barack Obama won his first term, many people within the Democratic Party said, this is it. We are going to be in power forever.
Right.
The Republicans will never. I mean, that was a low point. In fact, I believe that was where the Democrats are at today. That's where the Republicans were back then. He wins, and like, we got this. We won the Congress. We got the Senate and the House. The Democrats will be in power forever. And then came this guy named Donald Trump. And I mean, he came from left field, and he hit him hard.
Bull in a china shop.
I mean, yes, he hit him hard. So in my opinion, they're freaking out.
Yeah.
Because in their mind, we had this. This was going to be our country. You were going to comply with what we wanted with our laws. We want to change the Constitution. Keep that in mind. They want to change the Constitution. They want to change the concept of our republic into a borderline socialist democratic republic.
Yeah.
So when Trump came...
when they say democracy, let's understand.
Yes.
Democracy is nowhere in the Constitution. It's not in the Federalist Papers. We are a constitutional republic. And democracy is mob rule.
Correct. And at the end of the day, China is a democracy.
Exactly.
North Korea is a democracy.
Yes.
So I think what happened is right now they're freaking out because everything they work for, everything they hope for, again, Donald Trump is not the final solution, but Donald Trump put a halt to all that.
Yes.
So they're pouring money as much as they can, and it is a lot of money, to stop that agenda. And whether you agree or disagree with Donald Trump, everything that's happening right now, he told you he was going to do that. So this is what I tell to politicians like Karen Bass when she says that Donald Trump has no right to do what he's doing. He was elected
to do exactly
what he's doing. I mean, the guy did not mince words. You got to give it to him. He said, I'm going to do mass deportations. And 53% of Hispanic Latino men still voted for him, and 48% of the Latino women. So that should tell you people voted for what's happening right now.
Right.
And it's not illegal. What the federal government right now is doing is not illegal.
Well, they're actually upholding the laws
They're
that were
enforcing the law.
ignored. And people need to remember we had record-breaking invasion. And I'm
Correct.
going to call it what it was. And if that wouldn't have happened, if the Democrats would have said in year one of Biden's administration, yeah, we got a problem at the border, instead of telling the public, oh, no, the border's secure.
Yes.
I don't know what you're talking about. Mayorkas lying to Congress. Oh, border's secure up until election year. If they wouldn't have allowed 20 million people to cross our border illegally, I would almost bet we wouldn't be going through these mass deportations now.
I agree 100%. I know we say Biden. Biden had no clue what was happening.
No, he was President Autopen. I'm with you there.
Biden had no clue what he was doing. The people around him really, really wanted it to be that way.
Right.
Because they were trying to do everything that they were not able to do during the first 4 years of Donald Trump and continue that Obama tradition.
And I hate to say it, I think they hate America. They hate what we're built on. And if you think about even with the illegal immigration, and I stand by this, I'm not backing down, is they did that because when they fled the country with illegal immigrants, those people are counted in the census.
Correct.
And that changes your congressional districts, creates more seats where they want seats. So,
well, hopefully not in the next census.
Yeah,
The way it's working right now, it's hopefully we will count them in the census. And I want to clarify that because a lot of people will say, well, that's racist over here. It's like, it's nothing about race. I don't care what country you came from. If you're here illegally, you're not under the jurisdiction of the United States. As far as the United States is concerned, technically you don't even exist because we know nothing about you. We don't know who you are. You don't know what kind of crimes you committed.
They weren't vetted.
I am an immigrant.
Right.
I came to this country the right way.
Right.
I remember as a child going to the U.S. Embassy in Santo Domingo, Dominican Republic, asking permission to come to the United States.
Right.
We had to prove that we had the finances not to depend on the U.S. government.
Right.
And I came here. I went in for 2 wars. I have a beautiful house with a beautiful family. So don't tell me it cannot be done. It can be done.
Yep.
Donald Trump is not against immigrants. He is against illegal immigration. Because there is a difference between immigrants and illegal immigrants. We're not the same.
Well, and understand, a lot of these people came from Africa. They came from China. Some even came from Russia.
Absolutely.
I
Iran.
have a friend that, yes, and I have someone, I think we just arrested 1,500 people connected to Iran. My friend sat at the border for 7 months, San Diego sector, recorded people coming in from Somalia. He found passports from Mauritania, and the Border Patrol looked up the people, 2 guys, they're on the terrorist watch list. We don't know where they are, from Afghanistan. So this isn't an anti-Mexico thing. This isn't anti-Hispanic thing. This is Homeland Security. I'm shocked by how many people forgot about 9/11.
Well, you have to understand, most people don't go to Twitter for the news. Most people don't go to social media. They listen to NBC, ABC, CNN. Correct. They just don't tell you the truth. I mean, every time I see, for example, ABC 7 in LA talking about what Trump is doing to immigrants, I cringe because, like, he's not doing that to immigrants.
No.
You know, they talk about how immigrants are scared of going to the grocery store. Well, you should be.
Right.
You're here legally. I'm an immigrant and I'm a citizen. I have no fear. But this is the fear mongering that these networks are playing into, especially your Hispanic networks such as Univision and Telemundo. They're just scaring the living Jesus out of people, and it's like that's a shame. That is sad that you're doing that to our community.
Right.
And hopefully, you know, if I get into office, I'm going to make sure that I give the message to the people in both English and Spanish. If you're an immigrant, legal immigrant, you have nothing to worry about.
Right.
But if you're an illegal immigrant, well, that's against the law. Illegal immigration, it's illegal. There's nothing I can do about it.
Just a side note to these immigrants, let me just say to you, if you are here illegally, you can use the CBP One app to self-deport, get $1,000 in a flight home, and have a chance to come back into the country. Mm-hmm. If you're going to stay here, all bets are off. And in California, especially with SB 54, where immigration cannot work with law enforcement, that has pushed people into the communities. And if you're a farmer and you're saying, hey, they're taking all of my workers, well, you know what? You've had these workers a long time. No reason you couldn't have worked on visas unless you like having human slaves.
And another element of SB 54 when it comes to immigrants and illegal immigrants, when we release these criminal illegal aliens from our jails because we can't give them to ICE,
right?
They don't go to Beverly Hills.
No.
They don't go to Ranchos Palos Verdes.
Right.
They go back to the very same community we're claiming to protect.
Right.
They go back to East LA. They go back to Boyle Heights, Lincoln Heights. They don't go back to, these nice, rich communities. So that's another hypocrisy from our politicians when they talk about SB 54 is there to protect immigrants. SB 54 only protects one class of people, and those are criminals.
And it actually puts the immigrants that want to be here lawfully in jeopardy.
Correct, because they're the victims.
Wow.
They are the main victims of this criminal illegal aliens that we release from our jails.
Okay, Oscar, you know what? Our time went super fast.
Yes.
Let everybody know how they can help you in your campaign, where they can find you, and a special message to anybody watching right now.
Oscar4Sheriff.com. That's Oscar, the number 4, Sheriff.com. That's my website. I'm in every social media, including TikTok. You will find me there. You can go to my website. You can volunteer. You can donate. LA County is huge. Population-wide, it is bigger than 47 states. So any donation, whether it be $20, $25, $30, whatever you can give me, I will greatly appreciate it. I am working to restore public safety in LA County, and I look forward to having your support and your vote.
Great. Thank you so much, Oscar. And remember, guys, you need to take ownership of your own neighborhood. If everybody owned their own neighborhood in Los Angeles and walked palm cards for Oscar, you would be making a difference. So just don't think, oh, I don't have enough money. There's other things you can do. And if you want law and order in Los Angeles, it's up to you to change it. This man cannot do it alone. Correct. Well, thanks for coming on, Oscar.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. Okay, everybody, that's our show for this week. We will see you next week with White House correspondent, best-selling author, and journalist from Real Clear Politics, Susan Crabtree. And we're going to dig into the corruption in California. See you next week. If you enjoyed this video, remember to follow me on X at Lori Mills, the number 4CA42, Uncover Cali on Rumble, and Uncover California on YouTube.
California.